It's been argued by me on this podcast that we have become desensitized to killing in the black community. We have seen it so much and for so many years of killing of other black people that we become desensitized to it. It's not the fact of the matter that black lives don't matter. It's not the issue that we don't think that our lives matter. It's the issue is that we become desensitized to it. Living in these so-called urban environments, these poor, disenfranchised environments, these poverty-stricken environments, we see violence so much, we see killing so much, we see drug use so much that we actually became desensitized to it. We don't see it, we see it as normal. Just normal behavior of us killing each other, because that's what you do when you're in a community of people who look like you, who are poor like you, right? You kill each other, right? So it makes sense, right? It makes sense why we do it. So when pundits, media pundits, and other African American, fluent African American people come on camera and talk about Black lives can't matter until they matter to the black community, we often look back at them and say, stop using the narrative to block the fact that police are killing unarmed black people. But we also follow it up with we are desensitized to violence in the black community. We have become desensitized to the acts of violence, all the way up until that violence, the killing of a black person, lands on your doorstep. Then you find out exactly how desensitized you are when you have to mourn someone who you thought would be here at least for 20 to 40 more years, a person that you at least thought to see grow old. When you have to see a young man now leave his children in this world alone. When you see a young woman leave kids, babies alone in this world. When you leave mothers and fathers mourning their child. Brothers and sisters, cousins, mourning their loved one. And left with nothing but the memory. And why? Why? Because someone felt disrespected? Why? Because of a social media post? Because of a misunderstanding? Why is this mother crying right now? Why is this father in such pain? Why are these children in such pain? Why do they have to grow up without a mother and father? Is it because we became desensitized to violence? Is it because we became thinking that violence amongst each other is normal? This is a normal way of handling disagreements? Is this what we came to, people? Is this the reasoning? I'm here to say today on this show that I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong, people. I'm completely wrong with using the narrative that we are desensitized to violence. That is not an excuse, and nor did I try to use that as an excuse for the acts that we portray in our very community. Violence and drug addiction has ravaged our community. And yes, our communities are poor-stricken communities, poverty-stricken communities. We lack basic education and needs, necessities such as healthcare in a lot of these black communities. But why are we striking back against each other? Why are we shooting each other down? Why are we murdering each other instead of standing up and speaking up for each other? Why are we still enabling our mindsets to have a crab in the barrel mentality where we push each other down? Are we going to blame it on the white man, what they didn't give us and what they didn't do for us? Maybe we're going to blame it on the fact that, the mother or father is not in their home. Maybe we're going to blame it on education. Or maybe we should just look at it deeper. We deal with mental health issues that in the black community that we just choose not to deal with. As people, we choose not to deal with it. We choose not to deal with depression. We choose not to deal with understanding that we don't know how to handle our emotions, and that a lot of times we don't properly teach our children how to deal with their emotions, how to have emotional intelligence, how to deal with someone disrespecting them. How gun violence ends in someone's death, and how death is internal. There's no coming back from that. That when you kill someone, you just didn't hurt them. That you leave a trail full of pain behind that person you murdered. Kids who have to mourn a mother or father. A parent who has to mourn a son or daughter. Brothers and sisters who have to realize they will no longer have that relative to sit there and argue and fight with. Get advice from. Be the person to talk them off the ledge. Do you understand what we experience? In the black community, yes, we do need help with health care. Yes, we do need better paying jobs. Yes, we do need housing. Yes, we do need to be respected and treated like others, given the same given the same respect, given the same opportunity, get fair pay wages. Yes, we need to get a better education system. Yes, we need our young sisters, our young children to go to school and be treated properly when they're in the education system, not to be labeled. But we also have to look outside, look inside our community, and realize that we are the ones who are destroying it because we are the ones killing each other. Yes, we do have an issue with the police department and black people. And though they try to use narratives like, well, you guys kill each other, so how do you get mad about police officer killing? Stop trying to use a narrative to try to defend the fact that police officers are hunting down and killing black people. But let's talk about why we're killing each other. Let's talk about the emotional issues that we deal with. How social media has led to the uptick in murders and us killing each other because things that said on social media we don't know how to deal with. The fact that certain things and disrespect is on the main stage, we don't know how to deal with. Emotionally, we don't know how to express ourselves, to have a conversation. The basic form of communication to express our feelings towards each other. The basic of respecting and supporting each other is the issues that is the very crux of the issues that we deal in the black community. When we look beyond the insanity of us killing each other, we look and see a world that's the backdrop of black businesses who are not being truly supported. Not by the outside community, not by the Jewish, the Asian, the Caucasian community, not by the Indian community, but by the black community. We don't support our own businesses. We don't uplift our own businesses. We don't educate our children. We teach our children and talk about how the school system is so broken, how the shortest month in the whole year is used for Black History Month, where it's only 28 days to talk about Black History Month. They gave us the shortest month. But do we educate our children at home about Black history? Do we teach our kids about pain? Do we teach them about the death? Do we teach them about the importance of respecting ourselves or respecting others? Do we teach them about emotional stability, the emotional strength? Do we teach them about emotional intelligence and the importance of happiness? Do we teach them that it is not normal for us killing each other? Seeing our young black brothers and sisters laying in the streets dying from overdose, from gun violence, is just not normal and never will be normal. We cannot normalize violence in our community. We cannot justify violence in our community. We can't justify the action of violence in our community, whether it's a revenge killing, a killing of passion, a killing of trying to gain territory or respect. We can't justify it. But as we talk about it, murder each other over territory, just think about it for a second, people. The fact in some communities we kill each other for blocks. Our young children kill each other for blocks. For possession of blocks that you don't own property on, that your mother don't own property on. And you're killing your brother and sister for a block that you don't own, that your mother don't own, no one in your family owns even property on that block, but you're willing to kill somebody for it. But then you see gentrification come along. And I ain't saying kill someone of the opposite race, but you see gentrification come along, right? And you see how these developers come in and they just scoot you right off that block. And not only scoot you off that block, scoot you off the neighborhood, scoot you off into the suburbs and say, here, I'm going to put you in these apartment buildings in the suburb. We're going to make that the new projects. And we're going to take the block that you killed your brother for, that you murdered someone over, that someone's mother right now is still suffering and grieving over their dead son or daughter. Someone's father is still suffering and grieving over their dead son or daughter. Where someone's children are still grieving over their dead father or mother. We're going to move you off that block where you murdered someone on, and we're going to build a Subway or a Starbucks. Or maybe we'll put Planet Fitness on the block that you fought and killed for, spilled blood, so you can then sell drugs and make a come up in your community. We're going to build something here where you actually need credit to purchase stuff from this store. And we ain't talking about street credit, people, because we hear people talk about this all the time in the community. In the hood, we talk about street credit. You gotta have street credit, right? You gotta have street credit. But we don't understand that same community about FICO scores, do we? We talk about FICO scores. Do you know what a FICO score is? Have you talked to your children about what a FICO score is? You talk to them about TransUnion? Equifax? Did you teach them about that? Did you teach them about Experian? Did you teach them about your middle credit score? Is your FICO score? Did you talk about how to build credit up? The importance of having credit, because if you have good credit, you don't need money. You talk about how the wealthy people don't spend their own money, but spend your money and spend other people's money. How when they're investing, if they're not investing money coming out of their pockets, there are a lot of these investors, these so-called rich people who you make up to 2%, don't even have that much money. Hell, Mike got less money than you. But because they know how to spend other people's money and they understand the fact of what credit truly matters, they're able to get an edge on you. And while you out here shooting and killing each other for blocks that you don't own, while we out here murdering each other and selling drugs on blocks we don't own, we fighting for street cred, which only buys us two things: a jail cell with 3 hots and a cot, or a grave plot where we can finally sleep peacefully. Get the best rest of your life that you never would receive in life. That's all it gets you. What it gets you? The respect of what? People who don't truly respect you, don't honor you, don't appreciate you, and don't value your life? Because they don't. Street cred has no value to it because those people who give you street cred don't value your life. They give you street cred and they give you props and say your name rings in the street today. You're a legend in the street today, and tomorrow put a bullet in you. Take away your life. Over $10, over $5, over disrespect, over the way you look at them, or the fact you step on their shoes, or a miscommunication in social media. And what we do is we normalize this behavior and act like this is okay. It's not okay, people. This is not okay. We can no longer normalize it. This does not take away the fact that we still have issues with the police department killing black people. And we need to stop normalizing the idea of using this narrative of, well, black people don't killing black people and it don't matter to them, so why should it matter to us? We can't keep using that narrative to ignore the fact that police officers are killing unarmed black people. And the unarmed black people they're killing are regular civilians. You know what that is? A regular civilian? A regular civilian is a person who is not out here committing crimes, people. And even if they do commit crime, like they shoplift, maybe they, stole a bag of chips, maybe they stole honey bun, maybe they selling an illegal DVD, they're not out here trying to ravage and cause disruption to the community. They're not trying to kill people off by passing off drugs that causes people to lose their lives. They're not passing that off. So why should they be murdered in the street by a police officer? Why are they not getting their due date in court? Why are we normalizing this type of behavior? Why are we not normalizing the idea of getting mental health? We're teaching our children, teaching ourselves to dealing with the problems, the trauma that we experience in our lives. Because yes, maybe you walked out your house and you've seen someone laying in a pool of blood. You've seen someone's brain on the sidewalk. Yes, you've seen someone ODing from drug addiction. Maybe when you was 10 years old, you've seen the cop shoot someone. Maybe you've seen someone that you love arrested. You've been seeing the door was kicked in your house and the police rushing in the middle of the night, dragging your father or your mother or one of your relatives out of the house. Yes, you experienced some sense of trauma in your life, but have you ever seek help to help understand that trauma? Or did you normalize this behavior as just practical behavior that happens in the hood? Practical behavior that's happening around you. Practical behavior of people being murdered in front of you. And it's normal because you've seen it so much that you normalize it. It's practical behavior that you see police running in people's houses, grabbing your mother, your father, your brother, your cousin, your friend, family friend out of the house in the middle of the night in their underwear. And you normalize it because you see it so much. You seen your neighbor's house get raided and raided last week. You seen the dude across the street house get raided last week. Your best friend house got raided the other week. So now you normalize this behavior, not realizing this causes a sense of trauma in your mind, in your life, because you normalize seeing your persons doing drugs. You seeing your father doing drugs. You seeing your mother, your aunt, your uncle doing drugs. You seeing somebody dying from ODing from drugs, or someone being revived by Narcan from ODing with drugs. So you normalize this because it's an everyday process in your hood. You normalize this and you think that it's okay. When do we seek help for this trauma? Because that's exactly what it is. It's not okay. It's not normal behavior. This is trauma that our children are experiencing and growing up with. And because so many losses in our family, because so many of our children, or young children, young black men, young black women are being murdered by violence, being herded off into police in custody and been forced into prison, suffering from drug addiction, young kids are forced to raise themselves. Young kids are starting to have kids even younger and younger. Kids as young as 13 years old is having children of their own, making a 30 and 40-year-old person a grandparent. I'm going to expose my age right now. People, I'm 40 years old. As a grandparent, with all the knowledge and wisdom I experienced in my life, as a person, I'm not ready to be a grandparent. I don't think I'm in position to be a grandparent to truly give my grandkids the wisdom and knowledge they need. Hell, I'm still trying to learn how to be a father. I'm still learning things and teaching my children, learning on the job with my son and daughters, on how to be a father, how to be a parent. Still trying to navigate the learning curve of being a father. Being a grandparent is even deeper than being a parent because you have to give a level of wisdom down. But you think about this for a second right now. When you're looking at the black community, disenfranchised community, you're seeing children. You're seeing children having children and grandparents still hanging in the club with their young children, popping bottles with their kids, dating kids their child's own age, and having kids with them. So you got people in the club, you don't have that old grandparents. You remember Big Mama used to have the robe on, slippers with the wig cut to the side, you know what I'm saying? Big Mama can cook it. Nobody make biscuits like Big Mama. I'm telling you, my grandma can make some biscuits from scratch. Oh, you think it's lazy. I miss my grandmother. But my grandmother also had knowledge and wisdom that she dropped upon me that still I live with to this day. Certain things my grandma told me was about respect. Something that we don't see in the community. Something that leads to a lot of murders in our community today. Respect. Respect everyone from the CEO to the janitor. Make sure you give everyone a level of respect. The importance of giving respect is that you engage and people respect you. Learn to respect yourself. Learn to respect others. Talk to people with respect. Don't turn your nose up at anyone. Just because you see someone mopping the floors, sweeping the floors, taking trash out, does not entitle you to disrespect them. Treat them as the same as you would teach the person who owns the company. Because when you learn to respect them, you learn to respect yourself. And with that, my grandma taught me that despite the fact that I grew up in the project, that I grew up in disenfranchised poor neighborhoods, that I grew up in a public school system who didn't value education or my education or me as a person, it taught me to respect myself enough to know that I'm better than the community I'm growing up in. I'm bigger than it. And that the community I'm growing up in don't define me. What happens around me doesn't define me. What other people's stereotypes and beliefs and thoughts of me don't define my future and who I am. That the importance of not only respecting myself, but respecting others. Because in order to gain respect, you have to give it. It's something my grandmother taught me. My grandma taught me about music. I'm a huge advocate of old music. I love old music. That's not the shoot down music. But my grandma never disrespected the new artists that were coming out. Even if she didn't listen to the new artists, she never disrespected. Because she understands, this is the future. The transition of life. The transition of people. And that's why she instilled certain wisdom, certain knowledge in me. Because as we transition to be different, we expect our children to take off where we left off, to fix the problems and the mistakes of our lives. And it's not okay for us to do that. We have to teach our children to live your life. What I tell my kids is don't rush to have kids. Don't rush to sit here and get a girl pregnant or bring kids home and stuff. Grow up. Live your life. Experience things. Travel. Learn things about yourself. Get to know yourself. Get an education. Make mistakes so that you can grow. And when you do finally have kids, you will have wisdom. You will have knowledge to pass down to your children. And that's what we need to normalize, not the killing of each other, but the respect of each other. Teaching our kids how to talk and communicate. I have a conversation with my kids and teaching them how to use your words, how to communicate with people. Telling people in a proper and respectful way when they're too close to you. Learn to not engage into conversations that's going to lead to an argument and eventually lead to conflict. It doesn't make you a coward to remove yourself from certain situations. It makes you intelligent. It shows that you have an emotional intelligence to understand that there is no way that this conversation that we're currently having is going to progress into anything productive. In fact, what it's going to lead to is an emotional conflict between us two, which could lead into gun violence, which could lead to hurt and pain that not only is going to affect my family, but your family. It's going to lead to two people losing their lives. One to a grave, the other one to a jail cell. It's going to lead to people feeling the need of revenge and then killing others. It's going to keep passing on this. And what comes in that is trauma. Trauma is experienced because young children now experiencing trauma of losing their father, losing their daughter, or their mother, and they're growing up with this trauma, this untreated trauma, and then that trauma turns to violence, turns to anger, and that anger turns to more violence and murder. And what we do is we keep the trend going on. We keep this trend continuing on. We make this thing a cultural trend. We make this something that we need to change people. We normalizing this violence. We normalizing murder. We say we desensitize to killing. We desensitize to violence. We desensitize the people laying in the streets dying. It's because we have experienced so much trauma in our lives that we have normalized it ourselves. We will not normalize the effect of teaching us to, go get mental health. Go sit down and talk to a therapist. Go sit down and talk to a doctor. Doctor, work out the experience that you went through. You may feel like, this is just a normal day in my life, Man, my cousin, he went through the same thing, the police ran in his house too, He grew up broke. There was roaches in his cereal too. He grew up in the hood, you know what I'm saying? He had guns pulled on him. His people was OD, his people was murdered. And what you do is you try to normalize this behavior and make this behavior seem like this is just normal characteristics and that it's not trauma. But what it does is it creates trauma in our children. And when we are raising children who are then having babies, what's happening? We're bringing up a new generation without knowledge, without education. So we're sitting here talking about how broken our school system is. The school system is not the only thing broken. What we're teaching our kids at home is broken because you're dealing with a kid who had a baby when they was a baby, who didn't even finish their education themselves. So what the hell can they teach you? They didn't even make it out of 8th grade. They didn't make it through high school. So when your children stuff can't get the math problem figured out, they can't figure it out either. And you're passing down this lack of knowledge. When you're not able to stand there and fight for your children in the school system, when you constantly living in this broken environment because you live in public houses, Section 8, because it's affordable housing, I can go out and I can travel and I can buy all the things I want because, my rent is cheap and I'm good with this. So I don't need to move out this hood. And you got your children growing up in this hood, seeing this violence, seeing liquor stores at every corner, seeing guns, seeing corner stores, being fed by the Chinese stores and the local restaurants who feeding you MSGs and gluten, and you don't even know what all that is. And you teaching your kids that that's a way of living. Where you're living in properties where cheaply made houses and cheaply made apartments where all kinds of corners were cut, and you wonder why your children are growing up with asthma and all kinds of sicknesses, and you thinking, well, it was just passed down from generation to generation. No, it's passed down from this house because this house you're currently living in, this cheaply made house you're living in, they're painting over mold. They're using cheap materials that's causing your kid to get sick. And we normalize living in this house. We normalize fighting for a street cred instead of fighting for a credit score, a FICO score, a high credit score, a good credit score, a perfect credit score. We fighting to be perfect credit score in the streets instead of fighting for the credit score that truly matters. The credit score is going to buy you that car. That credit score is going to buy you that house. That credit score is going to open those doors for you. You don't have to have a ton of money, but you have to have an education. You have to have a mind and things. We're not fighting for the things that properly save our children. If we're not fighting for our children's mental health, if we're not sitting here talking now and embracing these children, if we don't have the OG who's going to not only garner respect, but give respect to these children, who are going to come and put their arm around these children and not try to sun them and not try to talk down on them, but try to talk to them. Not try to take Jews and expose their Jews and show off their Jews to them, but give them Jews. If we don't have that, we cannot reverse the violence that we're seeing in the inner city. If we don't have the OGs coming and teaching these kids about what death is, the internal effects of death, then we're only going to continue to normalize death, murder in our communities. overdoses in our community, if we allow the media and pundits to keep trying to use the narrative that black lives don't matter to us, so it shouldn't matter to anyone else, then we're going to continue to normalize police officers killing our black young brothers and sisters, our black children. We are going to become the new endangered species. The time is now that we stop burying our children, that we start, if we're not going to stop burying our children, we're not going to stop and change the tides, then hell, you need to start buying some damn life insurance. But if you don't want to sit here and spend all your money on life insurance to bury your damn children, then the time is now to have a conversation with your children, to embrace your children, to try to deal with the trauma that your children are experiencing in life and the trauma that you experiencing in life, and stop normalizing gun violence and trauma that we have experienced. It's time for us to change the tides on gun violence. This, what we're experiencing, what we're seeing in our community, the losses that we're having, the burying of our young brothers and sisters, our children, it's not normal. And we can no longer normalize it and justify these actions as just regular business in the hood. It's time now, people, that we change this behavior, that we stop normalizing, and we change the narrative that's being spoken about us. I want to thank you for joining me for another episode of Past to Present Podcast. This is the last episode of the year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone who's watching this. Hope you gain something from this. Hope you grow from this. Until next time or next year, I see you people. I only got a few things left to say to you. Stay woke, stay focused, most importantly, stay tuned.